What's up, everybody? It's your girl Barbie J here with a recap and review of Tyler Perry's Netflix drama Beauty in Black, Season 1, Episode 13, By Any Means. And the synopsis for this episode reads, Horace proposes a deal to help Kimmy find Sylvie. Can she trust him? Meanwhile, Angel makes a disturbing discovery in the club. So now, before we get started, if you're new here or returning here and have not subscribed to this channel as of yet, please take a moment right now, hit that subscribe button, then hit the notification bell and select all. It'll let you know every time you upload any new content to this channel. Then I ask that you hit that like button, write a comment, and share because sharing is caring. Now, like I said in one other video, some of you have been coming back and have not subscribed as of yet. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, help my channel grow, please. I'd really appreciate it. I mean, it's like 60% of y'all haven't subscribed to come back every so often to view and comment. So if that is you, please subscribe or let me know what I'm doing wrong or what can I do to get you to subscribe, okay? Anywho, I appreciate all of you who comment and support my channel. It's like, I don't know, you're like my family, to be honest. So if you get a chance and feel it in your heart, hit that subscribe button. Thank you. So this episode starts off how last week's ended with Kimmy grabbing the steering wheel and her and Traxton flipping over in the car, and she sprays him with mace, and then she gets out somehow and a car pulled up. Are you guys okay? Yes, we okay, or something like that. No. And the lady goes to see Traxton getting out, and Kimmy jumps in her car and drives off. The lady's like, no, no, she's running, no. So Kimmy, that was wrong for Kimmy to do that. But anyway, we see Jules getting a phone call from Mallory. He's at his daughter's birthday party, and she's asking him about Roy and this girl that she's sleeping with, and he's asking her, did she go and see her father-in-law yet? And then Jules calls Traxton and asks him, where's Kimmy? And he says she got away. He's like, what? You better find her and don't come back until you do, or something like that. And he all jacked up with no way to walk. But I'm wondering what happened to the lady whose car Kimmy took. You know what I mean? Anyhow, Mallory wants to know where Roy is. He tells her that he's at the Josephine Hotel. Okay, cool. She has Calvin pull over the car and she tells Jillian to get out. Jillian had to get out. She rolling her eyes. But they all in the conversation. Her and Calvin were both in Mallory's conversation. But Jillian, you could just look forward and listen. She kept looking over at Mallory and stuff. I said, Mallory about to tell you about yourself. You better check that attitude. Anywho, Calvin takes Mallory to the Josephine Hotel. They go up to his room. They see that furniture is tossed everywhere like there was a struggle. And then they see the broken window and they look out there and they see Roy down on the next balcony or something like that. So he didn't hit the ground. He didn't die, whatever. But they think he ran out there and just tried to kill himself. That's what they think. Anywho, Calvin jumps down there and gets him up and they take him to the hospital. Meanwhile, we have Jules telling his wife that he has to leave. He's letting her know how hard it is to work for this family, the Bellarys. And she's like, I get it. So he calls his daughter and tells her, and she's disappointed too. But his wife is like, you want to have a man like your dad who works so hard to pay these bills and do all of this stuff. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, oh, if she only knew what her husband does, I tell you. Then we see Charles arriving to the strip club and he's about to just walk in. And that guy, Alex, stops him and he's like poking him in his chest. You got to pay $30 to get in and all this stuff. And I'm sitting there going, don't he know that that's a Bellary and that he can make or break him? That Jules works for them? It just threw me off. But anyway, Charles gets in there. He pays $30, tell the lady to keep the change. That guy who was with Angel, he's like, yo, he's back. He said, I'm going to go over there and talk to him. Angel keep telling him to leave it alone, but he don't listen. He go over there and try to talk to Charles, and Charles ain't trying to hear nothing from him. He said, who's the biatch that stole my car? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. He's like, I'm just trying to have some fun. And Charles is telling him to disappear. He ain't got nothing to say to him. So he went back over to Angel and he said he ain't biting. He said just leave it alone. But while Angel's standing there, he sees this other girl walking past an opening with a female that's drugged up. And so Angel goes over there to see what's going on. And he realizes it's Kimmy's sister, Sylvie. So he talks to that dancer, whoever she is, and she's like, I got to get her out here before Delinda and Body get here and get mad at me. And he's like, look, let me try to sober her up. There ain't no way she could go out there. She said, you just want to F her. Here, go ahead. You want to F her? And Sylvie's like, no, no, or something like that. And so he's like, I ain't trying to do that. I just have my ways of sobering her up. And then he hurried up and brought her into a janitor's closet. And he let Sylvie know that he's a friend of her sister Kimmy, and he keeps trying to call Kimmy, but it keeps going to voicemail. And he tells her to stay right there and don't move until he get in touch with her sister. But let me also tell y'all that when Calvin went down there to get Roy, he said, call an ambulance. And Mallory said no. She wouldn't even call an ambulance for him because I guess she didn't want this to get into the news or whatever. And she told him to meet her downstairs or something in the back. And she went and drove up with their truck and put him in there and took him to the hospital that way. That was so funny. And y'all heard her tell that lady at the front desk that she uses the Beauty in Black products on her hair. Do any of y'all believe that? I find it hard to believe that they use it, especially when they know it causes cancer. So now we see Kimmy at the hospital and she goes into Rain's room and Horace is sitting on Rain's bed. She's like, where's Rain? He's like, sit down. She said, I ain't got nothing left. I just want my sister and I want Rain. If you did anything to her, you might as well just kill me right now. And he told her, I'm not going to say it again. Sit down. And y'all remember last episode, he was poking his stick into Rain's backside where she got that botched booty job done, y'all know. And she was like, ow, ow, ow. So anyway, Kimmy sits down and Horace tells her that Rain told her everything and that he knows all about her. And she's like, Rain didn't tell you that. He said, yes, she did. She said she wouldn't tell you anything. He said, you'd be surprised. So then she was like, where is she? Where is she? And he wouldn't tell her. And then he told her that he had this plan that would be beneficial to both him and her. He said he didn't know that Jules and his brother Norman was doing all of that and in the club. He said, do you think I would have went there to see a man and watch my son come in there, if I knew all of this stuff was going? He said, think about it. So he said he needs her to go back to work and act like things are normal and stuff. And she was like, I can't. She said, Jules is a demon. And he said, you're talking to a devil worrying about a demon. I was like, oh, okay. Now, is a demon higher than a devil or a devil higher than a demon? Because I thought they was on the same level. So I don't know. I mean, I like that saying the way he said it, but what does that mean? Is one of them more powerful or eviler than the next one? Put it down in the comment section. Let a sister know. So then she said, well, we're going to talk. Let's talk. She said, I ran over Body and killed Delinda. And he's like, what? And she said, yeah, Body's the one who ran the club for Jules. So he's like, did anybody see? Yes, they did. So he's like, well, maybe I can, find some low life and pay him off or whatever he was thinking. So then she said, and what about your son? He's like, which son? She said, Roy. I killed him. He was like, what? She's like, he said, he was shocked. He's like, how did you do it? And so she told him that she pushed him out the hotel window of the Josephine. And he said, no, I would have known about it because she said it happened a few hours ago. He said, I would have known about it. At this point, the guy, Peter, who Mallory called from the car to tell him she's bringing Roy in because he had an accident and she want to keep it under the radar. So he came in the room and said, I heard you were here and I wanted you to know that your son is being brought in here. And he was like, which son? He said, Roy. He said, is he alive? He said, yes. And he said, you want to see him? I'll take you to him. He said, okay. So he gets up and then he falls back down in the seat. And the doctor's like, Mr. Bellary, are you okay? He said, no, I'm okay. He said, just give me a minute. I got up too fast. He said, meet me out in the hallway. And when he closed the door, he looks at Kimmy and says, if you want to kill a MFer, then do it. Don't half-ass it and don't ever accept responsibility ever. And I was like, damn, he got mad at her because she didn't kill his son right. He didn't kill her. I said, ooh, this man is evil. So he gets up and tells her to wait here. She said, I have to find my sister. He said, I said, wait. I said, ooh, he is not playing. Kimmy better check herself. She saw how he shot up all them people and didn't think twice about it. So Horace goes into Roy's room and he's asking what's going on. And Mallory's like, how did you know we were here? He said, I asked a question. And she's like, Roy? And Roy said, it was an accident or something like that. And he was like, what kind of accident? What happened? He said, he didn't want to tell him. And he said, you might as well just jump out a window and kill yourself like you tried to do when you was 8 years old. And then again at 10. And then again at 11. You ain't been ish since you were born. And he was like, I'm sorry, he told his father. But it looked like you could see a tear running down his eye. And his father's like, sorry, that's all you got to say. And they just went back and forth at each other. It was ridiculous. He was poking Roy with his cane and stuff until Roy grabbed the cane from him and he fell to the floor and Mallory tried to pick him up. And he's like, get off of me. And he got the cane back from Roy. And he said, you did it now. He said, I tried to be good to you. He said, but I'm done. And then Roy was like, he wanted to say something. He said, say it. Say it for once in your life. Be a man and say it. He said, I can't wait till you die. I said, ooh. And you hear Mallory saying, don't say that. And he's like, yeah, the whole family will be better when you're gone. And when you in your casket and in the ground, know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go piss on your grave. And she's like, Roy, stop it now. And he just kept going on. And Horace said, you know what? You're going to regret the day that I die. And he walked out and left Roy's room. But y'all know this was some deep, serious hate. Because y'all heard how Horace was calling Roy a maggot and stuff. Roy was calling his father weak. And I was thinking, what in the world happened between this family? What's going on here? So Mallory sits down next to the bed and tell him he was crazy for all that stuff. You didn't have to piss him off. Oh, he can't do nothing and stuff. I can't stand him. She said it's obvious, you know. And he's like, what are you doing here anyway? Get the F out of my room. And she said, what did you say? And she went and start pushing on where he was bruised and stuff. And he was like, get the F out of my room, and pushed her away from him. And she sat right back down and said she's staying her behind right there. And he just started laughing like, I can't believe this. Meanwhile, back in Rain's room, Kimmy is sitting there. They brought her back from surgery. That female doctor is talking to her and updating her on what's going on with Rain. And then she left the room. Rain is telling her that the old man was trying to get information, but she didn't tell him anything. And Kimmy said, I know. But I'm sitting there going, who's lying? Is Rain lying or is Horace lying? Because he's saying he got information out of her. And Rain is asking Kimmy, how does he know all that stuff about you? And she said he spoke to Angel. And she's like, oh, but she's telling her, you need to listen to him, Kimmy, because I believe him. You know, she said, well, he wants me to go back to the club and do this and do that. And she's like, really? But she's really drowsy from the surgery she just got out of and stuff. But she's telling Kimmy to listen to Horace because she really believes him or trusts him or something like that. Anyhow, then she says she lost her phone and she need to call Angel to find out if he's been contacting her. And so when she uses Rain's phone to check her voicemail, you hear, damn it, Kimmy, where are you? I have your sister. And she hurries up and calls him back. And she's like, answer, answer, answer. And when he finally answers, he's like, yo, where you been? And she's like, you have Sylvie, you got to get her out of there. Where is she? She's telling him to do all of this stuff that she would do. Angel's not that person. And so he tells her to hurry up and get there. And he'll do the best he can. You know what I mean? But he ain't going to be able to do nothing. Angel ain't tough like Kimmy. And she says she's on her way. So she leaves out. And the next thing you know, Horace is coming into the room. And he sees Rain there and Kimmy is gone. And he sits down in the chair and says, great. And then the episode ends in the club where we see Felicia pointing Angel out to Alex. So she asks Angel, what did he do with that girl? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, she be lying and stuff. And Alex like, what's your name? She said, Felicia. He said, go back to work. I said, dude, the line is, bye, Felicia. He should have said, bye, Felicia. But he didn't. And I don't know how Tyler Perry missed that obvious line that would have made people laugh. Because as we all know, it's a classic line. So Alex is asking Angel where she is. He's saying he don't know He don't know what she talking about. He said, look, I know you friends with Kimmy, and you know that's Kimmy's sister, and she didn't leave here. So you know where she at. He said, I told you, man, I don't know. He's like, yeah, okay, okay. And he acted like he was turning to leave, and he came back and punched him in his face and made a scene in the daggone club. And I said, isn't that bad for business? Why are you beating up one of the dancers up in there? That makes no sense when you got paying patrons who came and paid $30 to see you fighting. The security is fighting with the dancer. It make no damn sense. So then Traxon came over there asking what's going on. He's like, he did something with Kimmy's sister. Angel was like, I told him I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. He's like, yes, he does. And Traxon tell him, get back on the stage. He says, not my turn. He said, get up on the damn stage. And everybody's watching everything. So he had to get up on the stage to dance. And it went off just like that. So that's the way this episode ended. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. This didn't have an exciting ending like some of the other episodes had. I'll be honest about that one. It was entertaining though, to be honest. I really enjoyed that part. But y'all just let me know down in the comment section your thoughts about this episode. Let's discuss it. And I will see you all in the next video. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's your girl Barbie J saying peace.